Hello, welcome to this Free Zone podcast, a space where we feel free and we talk about whatever we want, however we want it, and with no script. Well, kind of. So sit back, relax, have a drink, and join us for this unfiltered podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Tobacco Tours, the only legal Cuban American company operating in Cuba since 2019 that will guarantee you a totally worry-free travel experience where you're going to be able to get to know the real Cuban culture and the cigar industry at its finest. So if you want to have more details about this, click the link below and you're going to have everything that you need to book your trip to Cuba. Today, we have a very extremely special guest, not only a person that I admire a lot, also a very good friend of mine, and a person that changed, a man that changed the whole combat sport industry. A lot of people know him, well, actually, very few people know him as the Fear Harris, but a lot of people know him as Real Dada 5000. Dada, thank you so much for being here, my love. So, of course, I know you in a personal way. I've gone to see you in camera, behind the cameras. We got to hang out, we smoke cigars together. I know who you are, but a lot of people have seen only the results on your professional career. But they don't know and they haven't seen the hard work, the difficulties, the issues that you had, that you faced when you were starting your career. I want to know how Dada started, where you're from, why you picked this industry, why combat sports, how did a backyard start? Tell me everything about you.
It's interesting because creative minds, they never take a day off, right? And I didn't want to be like everyone else. And when I say I didn't want to be like everybody else, I didn't want to settle. You know, I wanted to push the envelope. I wanted to move the needle, right? They put limitations and stipulations on you because it's traditional. You go to school, you get an education, right. You come out and you get a job. And I'm sitting back, it's nothing wrong with that, but I want more, right? So just being a visionary, seeing everything that's going on inside the community, we can see where the problems are, right? But a lot of individuals, they didn't have the wherewithal to go fix them. Right? So that's when I found out what I was good at, one of the things. And that was fixing other individuals' problems. Because I knew what these individuals had and I knew what they didn't have. I see that they don't have a high school diploma. They don't got a trade. They don't got a skill, you know? What they do got is a criminal record. What they do got is 2 strikes against them. But they're good people. Right. They were just working with the hand that they were dealt. Right? So I said to myself, okay, well, I can play my part, right? And I can put them in a position, right? So they could get acknowledged and looked at to be something much more than what they were labeled, you know? So I grew up inside of a single parent home with my mother, R.I.P. the sister, Ellen Louise, Sister Stewart, with my 2 brothers, you know? And they're twins, so I'm the younger out of the 2, right? But at the same time, you know, I come from a rough sector in Miami-Dade County, right? It's called Perrine. It's only 15 blocks. When people think of Miami, right, they think of the beaches, they think of the clear skies, you know.
They don't even know what the real Miami looks like, yeah.
Listen, when you talk about, you know, what's 15 minutes on the other side of that bridge, and that's Overtown, but we put people in a position and we gave them something to look forward to other than, you know, South Beach when they visited Miami. They wanted to come down to see where all of the backyard fighting was going on at.
How did you start it? Okay, you were a fighter yourself, you were a world champion, but how did you start it, the backyard? And also tell me a story, you have many, many stories, but tell me a story of when you started fighting. What was the most challenging thing about being a fighter?
The most challenging thing is getting over, you know, the expectations and, you know, what other individuals want you to do and think you should do. You said something earlier, a mother's love, right?
Right.
Well, when you say, hey, I want to do this, I want to get into combat sports, and it's like, no, you're going to get hurt. No, you're gonna get, it's like, I'm tough. I can do this,
right?
You know? But it's like a lot of individuals, you know, they couldn't see the trees because of the forest. Right. So they put their limitations on you, you know? And again, you know, I led a unselfish movement, right? It
Right,
never,
you were helping a lot of people. And one of the reasons why you started is because you came from a sector that was very rough. You came from an environment that was you needed to fight for your life basically. So you actually wanted to change that narrative of people of, you come from a certain place, so you're going to end up a certain way. So you wanted to change that history, that narrative, and make it better for those individuals that had it rough.
exactly, and I also want to say, Paran is a tough place. It still is. But, you got a lot of tough places around Miami.
Yeah.
You got a lot of tough places out here in the United States, inside the world. The difference is that we recorded and we documented, what we were doing as far as putting together a movement that individuals, they couldn't see. But now they see the benefit. So when I was doing the backyard, they said, hey, you're crazy. You're nuts if you think that what you're doing with bare-knuckle fighting is going to blow up. Well, I am crazy. Yeah, I'm probably nuts, but they're definitely wrong because bare-knuckle fighting actually blowed up.
When did Bare-knuckle in the backyard started?
We started in 2007, but I came on with a vengeance because I already understood the blueprint.
Right.
Clearly, everybody that's doing bare knuckle anything, they took a page from our playbook. We put the blueprint out there to show the world what's possible, right? A lot of individuals, they couldn't fathom the thought that, hey, listen, this guy got real tickets made by Ticketmaster in the backyard. He got lanyards, he got chairs, he got entertainment, he got food, he got music. We were compared to events that they had inside the Miami Airlines Arena at that point. Right? So it's like for me, doing the impossible became nothing. It wasn't even challenging, And I just wanted to do it for the peoples, that I understood could benefit from it. And I never made it about me. Still to this day, it's not about me.
So I'm sure when you started the backyard and you had this vision of bare-knuckle, you had a lot of pushback. You had a lot of haters. You had a lot of people that said to you, hey, you can't do it. When did the backyard and bare-knuckle start getting popular enough that blew up, and that vision that a lot of people didn't believe in actually became a real thing?
Well, great question. I'm sitting back, right? And I've been doing this thing for so long. We're talking about before YouTube.
Wow,
we had MySpace, right? So, and I had the VH cassettes, the big shoulder stuff, right?
Old school.
Yeah, I didn't even have the technology to transfer that video footage to something, that could have been viewed, right? So it's like I just knew that I couldn't stop, and the reward for me was to put these events on, and I see the gratification inside the athlete's face, right? When most of them, because everybody they're back there, for different reasons. Some people really want to take it as far as they could take it.
Right.
Others, because they need a few bucks. Some, they got something to prove. Others, we're squashing gang beefs. A lot of things never materialized to spill over into the streets, and innocent people get hurt because we settled it inside of the yard, and it was effective. But word of mouth travels faster than mail, right? So it started getting out there more and more and more. And then Kobe Katz and Francisco Alvarado with the Miami New Times, they caught wind of it. They came out and we went front page in the Miami New Times, right? Now we're running because that front page in the Miami New Times, it got, Billy Corbin from Racking to a Cocaine Cowboys, Square Grouper, Limelight, The U, ESPN 30 for 30 broke. They took interest.
I should make a movie. Like literally, I'm hearing all of this, and I'm like, this is like a movie type story. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
No problem. And it became #1 on Netflix. It's highly anticipated right now, and it got took down to be revised. Keep in mind, this thing we filmed over a course of 30, like multiple events, hundreds of fights, and it got broke down, edited down just to, an hour and 49 minutes, right? So it's like, now we have the round 2 that's slated to come out with an all new revised 1. But that was just one of the things, right? So now that everybody is talking about the backyard, I get a call from Michael Lofty, right, with ESPN.
Right.
And he says, hey, listen, Dada, we want to come out. We're interested in filming your event, right? And I started in '07. We jumped off running with the big boys.
That was very fast, actually.
Yeah, so when, he says, when is your next event? He called me on like a Wednesday night. The event was on that Saturday. They got a crew together really quick,
Wow.
right? They came out. We knocked it out of the ballpark. We sold more magazines that month out of any other month that year. Movie Spectacular, check it out. We had Lindsey Vonn, the skier, on the front cover, right? She looks like Sharon Stone. And from there, now you got, the Maxims calling, you got the Vice Medias, you have the ESPN E60s, you have the USA Taboo, and everybody else, every sports show you could think of, and we just been making history. And to add to something that you said earlier, it's like the haters.
Right. Haters are going to hate.
Yeah.
Haters are going to hate. That's for sure.
But
Always.
I felt that they were uneducated, because if they would have knew the importance of what I was doing, they would have stood with me, opposing to standing in front of me.
But it's not about that. The thing is that sometimes people, they just don't have the vision. It has nothing to do with education or not. It's just vision. Because a lot of times dreamers, like you said, people that stop dreaming, they stop imagining what's not normal. They have like a form, a book of this is what's gonna happen, this is what I'm gonna do with my life. But once you get out of that box, it becomes almost impossible to imagine for them. It's a matter of vision. You had the vision and you pursue that vision. And that's why, you're where you are today.
Hey, listen, and I got to give you a shout out, because you had a vision that was backed with determination, and you were motivated, and you're here doing some phenomenal things,
Thank you.
Yourself. And you're absolutely correct. And as I sit back, and I look at how far I've come, and people look at how far, you've come, but it's not iconic, it's not impactful until you share the journey.
Right.
Because
exactly.
It wasn't easy.
No.
There was a lot of obstacles.
A lot. And let me tell you something. Most times the glory is just a little tiny moment, but the whole journey, all the obstacles, all the difficulties, all the times that even you doubted yourself. I'm sure that there was a point that you said, okay, I'm not going to be able to do this. But then you snap out of it and you're like, no, this is my vision and I'm going to pursue it. I want to know when you had that moment. Like, when do you say, okay, this is I can't do this, or this is too difficult for me, or this people are not cooperating with the whole system and the whole program, and this is this is gonna fail. Because a lot of times we feel like that. We snap out of it because we're fighters, but that doesn't mean that we don't go through it.
And you're absolutely right. So with me, that moment came, when I sat back and had to analyze the picture, not just the picture, the big picture, right? And I cannot let myself, nor these individuals who look forward to this down, right? Because I got corporate America to trade in their baseball hats, trade in their suits and ties for baseball hats and tennis shoes, to come down to sunny South Florida, because I convinced, these promoters, these agents, that the next best thing may just be coming out of a backyard, not an MMA camp or a dojo. Right? So because I was such a great salesman, but I knew that we had something special that was down there. Like, I used to give these guys that pep talk. It was very motivational. It doesn't matter, what you did yesterday. It's all about what you're going to do today. The new life you want, it starts now. I just need you guys to go out there and be half of the 150% that I've motivated and promoted about you guys. Because these individuals, if they like what they see, even in defeat, they can identify with what you are missing, and they can give you that. To this day, we sent more than 9 guys, pro, Big Ten, UFC, Bellator, and boxing. We sent even more, but those are just some that are still, into the sports. Right. But we became, a hub, Individuals, they canceled their memberships to come to the backyard because we had the big boys flying in, it was real, it's no smoke and mirrors, no gimmicks. When you get a do-over, when you heal up, it's not acting, So heart is something that, these guys had. You can't borrow it. You can't buy it. You know what I'm saying? Nobody can loan it to you. You got to have it. And if you got that, then that's a start. You know? And we just were steamrolling. We didn't have no competition inside the yard.
Right.
You know? Because nobody was willing to do what we was doing. Now, just think about this, right? Bare-knuckle fighting, it's been around, you know, since the Roman Colosseum days. Back when when men used to fight animals,
Right.
you know, or duke it out with other men to the death for the king and queen's attention and the noble
That's a real
citizens.
deal. That's how everything started. Before the gloves were a thing, before the bare-knuckle, that's how it started.
Exactly. Before the gloves were ever on, they were off. Now, bare-knuckle was a taboo subject, right?
Right.
So it was always underground. It was always secret invitation.
Yeah, because in all reality, I'm sure there's more liability. I mean, there's obviously more liability when you fight with no gloves. And you know that you were a fighter as well. So I'm not telling anything that you don't know. And actually, I wanted to ask you, you were fighting, you were several times world champion. What was the toughest fight of your career? And also tell me, because outside of cameras, you were telling me a story that you went to the hospital one time and you had an accident. Tell me what was the most difficult moment as you in your fighting career?
Overcoming, you know, what people were saying that you really cared about, right? So if somebody say, hey, Dada, you know what I'm saying? You're not crap. It's like, okay, it's your opinion. You're entitled to it, you know?
Right.
But let somebody that you care about say that. Now you're like, hey, why you say that?
Right.
You know?
Yes,
So it's
because
like
there's emotions involved.
100%. Just being that person that I know that I was destined to be. You know, you have givers and you have takers, right? So as I sit back, you know, once I tapped in to the inner me and I identified, you know what I'm saying, with who I am, and I say, hey, listen, my name is The Fear, right? And just think about it. It's so cool because I can name flip it.
Right.
I see the fear in his eyes. I put the fear, and people don't even know that I'm using my own name, right?
Right.
But a lot of individuals, they could not pronounce the fear.
Yeah.
So I made it easy. So I say Dada, which is DHA, right? So it's just da 5,000. 5,000 because I really feel like, you know, I'm light years ahead of, you know, my time. Even doing bare-knuckle now is it's the new thing.
Right.
But I was ahead of my time. That's why individuals couldn't identify with me back in '07.
Right.
But now it's like, oh, well, it's a big sport. It's this and it's that. But yo, we've been doing it.
Right.
You know? So it's like right now we're in 2025. You know? So I still feel like I'm, you know,
crazy. Time
200 and, you know, 70 something, 100 light years ahead of the game only because of where I think. You know, and again, creative minds never take a day off. But to answer your question is this. I've been faced with challenges. I mean, big ones. All of them was learning curves.
What's the most difficult opponent you've ever had?
Myself.
That's a deep,
Yeah, because
deep
listen,
answer for real.
you can get defeated with what you think, you know, because when you look at
Okay, I just got the goosebumps, but I'm gonna use it, by the way. I'm gonna copy that.
listen, you could be defeated by your mind.
Right, very
You know
true.
how they say the mind is willing, but the body ain't able.
That's true.
What happens? You know what I'm saying? When the mind is not willing, but the body is able, we tell it. We so as we think it, so as we be it. You know, and coming from Paran, you know, it's like a lot of individuals couldn't identify with me because I'm ready to go. You know, and I had to fight through a lot. You know, and I never stopped. And eventually, people started to see it. You know, so I think that, you know, overcoming, you know, my own, you know, thoughts, you know, because every time you come out of the house, you're around, you know, individuals that, you know, they're motivated in their way, but you want more.
Right.
And you know more is out there to get. And you're not wrong, you know, for pushing the envelope.
That's true. That's true. Well, of course, you have over 20 years of professional career. You reinvented the whole combat sports industry. You've done a lot, but now you have new projects that actually we're talking about. Tell me a little bit about this new project that you have, 0 to 60.
Wow, 0 to 60, you know, is a developmental platform, right? It's designed to give athletes from all walks of life an opportunity to be evaluated, right? So this is the concept, you know, by it. You know, it's brought to you by the same, individuals, with BYB Extreme and Trigon Combat, which is in steps, because the 0 to 60 is so remarkable because it's only 60 seconds, right? So that's like,
That's gonna be pure action. Like
100%.
60 seconds of pure crazy action.
Listen, it's an adrenaline shot for the average fight fan.
And it's also going to be an opportunity for people that want to get into the combat sports and want to have an opportunity in the fields. It could be bare-knuckle, it could be potentially some other sport, MMA or boxing, but it's a good opportunity for people that want to start off.
100%, because what it does is you have, a group of knowledgeable individuals,
Right.
with trained eyes. They know what they're looking at. And it just takes 60 seconds, to evaluate if a person has what it takes or not. Now, in the course of them having what it takes, guess what? They go to the next level, right? Which is starting their amateur careers, right? And once they get completed with that.
So basically, if you have what it takes, those 60 seconds go to another round of 60 seconds, right? So let's say that the prospect he's a good fighter, he wants to keep fighting, and you guys see that has a good opportunity, you would actually put him to fight again in another 60 seconds.
Yeah, more so, it will be more than 60 seconds because, the first time you see them, it's
You already know.
and round of applause for yourself for being a part of it as well,
I didn't want to say anything yet, but I'm very excited for the project.
Yes, and it's like the 60 seconds. It will be the first time most of these individuals, get seen. But now we have intel on them. We have their height, we have their reach, we have their width, we have everything, and we have footage of them, actually competing. So now that they go to that next level,
Right.
if they're still standing, then you'll see that fight in its entirety on Trigon Combat.
Wow.
In its entirety.
So when do you think we're going to be able to see 0 to 60, the first few fights?
We're looking at May.
May?
Looking at May.
Okay.
It's gonna be it's gonna be amazing. Listen, again, when you talk about creative minds, when you talk about being ambitious, when you talk about being pure, before the gloves were ever on, they were off, right? And the gloves never protected, your opponents, they don't protect my hand. I mean, they don't protect your face, they protect my hands.
Right.
That's why you have, so many people, coming out with slurred speeches and so forth like that. So we're actually a safer sport. We're actually a more popular sport, We're actually a sport that can extend your fighting career.
We need to celebrate this with a cigar, but unfortunately I forgot the cigar. We'll leave it for the next time. Yes. Now it's time for the free zone moment. Dad, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Raise your hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and only the truth? Yes or yes?
Yeah, that was a good one. She's good. Ladies and gentlemen, she's good.
You have no option but to tell the truth. Okay,
Yes.
So we got several questions here. I'm gonna move it for you, and you're gonna pick 2 or 3. Let's see how things go. And you gotta say the truth, but only the truth. Pick a question.
Okay.
Da-da-da-da. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see what's the first one. Okay. Read it out loud, and moment of the truth is coming soon.
Have you ever felt trapped in a life that wasn't yours? How did you get out of it? That's interesting, and that's a really good one. I've never been trapped in a life, that wasn't mine. And the reason why I say I've never been trapped inside of a life that wasn't mine is because I'm such a free thinker and I'm in a free zone, right?
Wow, I like that.
Yes. Guys got that? Yeah. And I'm always thinking. So it's like by it never being made about me, and it's like I'm always helping other individuals, I got a chance to experience so much, that was was a part of other individuals, right? So it was never me, You know, it was just like, hey, listen, just being in position, you know what I'm saying, to help. And that comes from just being thoughtful,
Right.
you know, and being in a position, you know, to have a broad imagination, right? Like when you're kids, we have a broad imagination, you know, and when you're in a position to be insightful and impactful, you know what I'm saying, you never get trapped.
You're also a visionary that worked hard and you were persistent to create the life that you wanted.
Yes.
And you always believe in yourself. And like you said before, your biggest opponent was your mind. But
Yes.
you, some way, somehow, you fought your mind enough until you believe 1,000% in that dream that you're pursuing. And that's why you're here.
You know, and I could safely say, you know, I've never ran with a pack of people, right? And I never needed an audience, you know. So I could travel anywhere by myself. So because I've never had that dependency of a desire to be a part of, you know, it pretty much helped me to stay focused, you know, and continue to push forward.
I love that. Let's go with the second question, ladies and gentlemen. The
Okay.
moment of the truth, number 2.
Now, I'm gonna let you read this one.
Okay, you want me to read it for you? Let's see. Ooh, this is getting interesting. Okay. Ooh, interesting. How would you describe your life philosophy in one word and why?
My life philosophy in one word and why. I would say impactful. And why is because I feel like being a team player, you know, I impact other individuals' lives. And through the changing of their lives, you know, I was also impact. And that's what you call being a servant, you know, to say, hey, listen, if I'm around you, right, how could I make you better?
Right.
Right? Not about me, right? So it's like we talk about what value you bring, right? What value you add, it comes back to the value that comes from within. And that's not always money. You know, that's your mind. These are words of, you know, encouragement, you know what I'm saying, that's backed by wisdom. Somebody once told me, they say, hey, I'm here to advise you from time to time as the need arises. And I hope that my advice will be based on true knowledge and ripening with wisdom. And then they asked me, what's the secret formula for finding intelligence?
It's a good one.
And I was like, okay. He was like, you put your mental age over your chronological age time 100, right?
That's a good one. I like that.
That gives you your IQ. That's your intelligence quotient. You ever heard somebody say, hey, act your age, not your shoe size?
No, actually, no.
Okay, but a lot of your viewers, trust me. And it's like some people, they're older, but they act younger, like they're grown, but they act. So it's like for me, I sit back, you know, and I'm open-minded to so much, and I'm a sponge. I soak up so much, you know, and I take this back to life and the essence, you know what I'm saying, of being able to navigate in a room full of vultures and come out. You hear the commotion, but you come out unscathed, untouched.
And also you lead by example. And I'm
Yes.
sure you inspire a lot of people and to move forward and to, you know, pursue their dreams. And that's very admirable. Very, very admirable. We're going to the third question now, but then tell me. I interrupt you with the excitement.
I was gonna say something, but we can, this could be a trivia, you know, and I'm gonna leave you, you know what I'm saying, with the answer.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wait. Let me get, okay.
So here's the thing. Remedy me this. A fish will stay out of trouble if he keeps its mouth closed.
That is true, though. That is true. 100%.
Now, while they're pondering on that, you know, we'll get back.
We got a similar saying in Spanish. En boca cerrada no entran moscas. It's very similar to that one, but I like that. I'm gonna use that too. Okay. See, we're gonna go with the third question now. Let's see, and your third question, the free zone moment.
Here.
You want me to read it again?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. Let's see. It's funny because we had a guest here that they were like, "Oh, this is very, this is I can see well." They have to put the glasses on and everything. Okay, what's the craziest thing you've done for money?
What's the craziest thing I've ever done for money? Believe it or not, I've never done anything crazy for money in my life.
It could be earning money or spending money or anything related with money. Craziest thing you've ever done. Like spend like a huge amount of money in something that you believe, for instance, or like get paid for doing a crazy job that you never thought you were gonna get paid that amount. I don't know, like something like
Okay,
that.
I did a job for FEMA, and this is something that they didn't tell you existed in school because they keep it generic. Get your education, graduate, go to college, get a job, and work. There's a lot of other jobs and occupations associated out in these fields that you're not privy to, until a situation transpires. So I would say, I made money during that time of Katrina that I never was exposed to as far as occupation because they never told me that jobs like this exist, in school. That's another reason, and that was in '05. That was the last year I worked.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I have not. I work because I still use my mind, and I'm a part of a lot of great things that
But
was
what
started.
exactly did you did in 2005?
Oh, I was an operator with FEMA over Dade and Broward County, like the debris removal.
I even didn't know that.
Yeah,
See, this type of questions help.
yeah.
Like I'm learning things from you I didn't even know. Wow,
So I traveled all over Dade, all over Broward, making sure that the streets were safe from debris and people. Because you remember, it was congested. We
right.
needed to make sure that you had safe lanes to travel and also get that stuff scheduled to get removed.
That is great.
Yeah.
2005 was that. How long did you do that?
Oh, I did that. I did that for give or take about like 8 months.
Wow.
8 months.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Okay, I'm going to ask you something. If you have to give a message to the people that are watching us to inspire them, because obviously you're a figure that, you have that. You have that inspirational thing on you. So that the person that is watching us and the people that are watching us, they can set themselves free from all the haters, all the push, and they can get into the free zone and be free and unleash that beast that they have inside them and actually fight for their dreams. What would be the message?
Stay true to who you are, right? That's what we got away from. And that's dreaming. When you were a kid, you dreamed. You just didn't dream. You dreamed big. And that kid is still in you. Never let nobody put limitations on you, telling you things that they can't, telling you things that you can't do because they can't do it. We have to get over that fear, And what is fear? False evidence appearing real, right? Fear, false evidence appearing real. So it's like, my thing to everybody that's listening, is if you can see it, you can be it, right? Move forward with it in a productive and positive manner. Hard work, it's not going to do itself. Nothing worth having comes easy. Because if that was the case, then everybody will be doing it. Everything that you need to be successful in this lifetime, you were born with it. Tap into it, find out your strengths, and live the dream that God intended for you.
Damn, you're good. Gosh, wow, I even got the goosebumps. I'm ready to run 10 miles and do all these crazy things that I want to do. Dada, thank you so much for coming here, for joining me, for being a part of this project. I'm really looking forward to work with you for this new project that we have coming up in 0 to 60. You're obviously not only a great person, but a figure that inspired each one of us, including myself. And I'm very thankful to have you as a friend. Very, very thankful to get to know you in a personal way, in a professional way. So I really thank you for being here with us.
Listen, again, thank you guys for having me on the free zone, and again, we're inviting you all to be a part of a journey. So if you haven't subscribed to the free zone, then what are you waiting on? It's simple. Go and click the subscribe so you can stay abreast on all of the latest, interviews that they're having. I had a blast, and it's an outlet for you to tell your story that can impact others.
He said it himself. I'm not going to even go there. I'm not going to even say anything else because it's impossible to compare myself to this guy. So thank you again for joining us. Remember, subscribe to our channel and we'll see you soon.